How are you guys doing today? Well, it shouldn't be a big surprise, but we have another deck to talk about. And you already know the drill. We're going to go over the deck, some replays, and then we'll talk about the cards and show the deck list. Dreamborn link and timestamps are down below if you so choose. So today we are on Bluuurple. And if you watched the stream a couple weeks ago for our giveaway, every month we do Patreon giveaway. Information down below. If you watch that stream, we played Bluuurple, and between the hyper aggro and the discard, well, it didn't go over very well for us. In addition to that, we went second, I think 9 out of 10 games that we played, so it was a bit rough, and we made a couple little changes, and here we go. So if you're unfamiliar with this deck, Bluuurple, Superior Synergy Games, I'm sure he'll see this too. Ben is a great guy, super smart, plays this deck, grandmaster with the deck, and he had a video where he explained things very, very well. So today we're going to go ahead, hop into these replays, and right there, first difference, we get to go first today. We're against Green Steel. Is it Bucky? Is it Prince John without Bucky? Or is it a shift or a home brew? I don't know yet, but we're going to find out. Getting rid of a couple of our uninkable cards. Otherwise, I actually really like my hand. So we do have two 1-jump aheads now, and that Grammatala. I don't necessarily want two 1-jump aheads. However, it is going to at least help us ramp and get the inkwell going. We don't have a great card to ink on this next turn. However, if we draw one, we can go ahead and play our Tala, which we do. We drew the Pascal, so we can play our Tala, and then ideally she sticks around for a couple turns, and we will then just sing the 1-jump ahead while we play other cards and develop our board. So our opponent comes down with the old Captain Hook's me 1-2 play line. It's kind of common to see that in a lot of decks, but hey, if it works, it works, and if it's not broke, don't fix it. So we ink a fox so that we can go ahead and play a fox. We sang the 1-jump ahead with the Tala. We take out the hook when he doesn't have challenger status. It's a very productive turn for us. Like, I don't think there's a whole lot else that we could have wanted to do there. Whether we play Whole New World or 1-jump ahead, or we sing it, or if we choose not to next turn, we have a lot of options. We can sing the friends with the fox, draw 2 cards, and then we can go ahead and play the Tala, play the 1-jump. We draw a Popsicle, so we play that. We draw into an Elsa, so we're not going to be able to ink the Elsa. Now our hand changes a little bit. I'm like, well, let's go ahead and sing with the fox, ink the Tala, and then we can hard cast the friends. We hit Popsicle and another friends. I'm actually okay with that. We have a 6-3 inkwell lead on our opponent. Either one of his characters are going to lose if they try to trade into the fox, so that's very helpful. Ursula is not very helpful. Luckily, though, we do have our rabbit still, so we can draw off of it. Waiting while our opponent decides what he wants to do. Still no captain on board, so if a hook doesn't come down, the Smee will go down to 1 health remaining. Obviously 2 damage counters on him. So we rabbit, draw a crab. I'm going to ink the crab then, just so we can go ahead and deal with his board. I shouldn't say that, because inking the crab, we didn't actually play any other cards, but just to keep my ink going, because I want to get to Elsa. She's sitting in our hand, and it'd be helpful if we can use her. We take out our opponent's board, because who would have thought trading a Pascal for a Smee would be an effective tool. We draw into an Yzma, which is an inkable card. I was really debating, like, do I hold it, ink the next card? Do I play it? What do I do? Because I'm like, I can quest for rabbit or challenge with rabbit, then Yzma, shuffle the rabbit, draw 3 cards. So I was really just debating. I'm like, there's so many different options here. We could even play a rabbit, draw a card, see if that changes how we want to play. But we do end up going for the Yzma, draw 3 with the rabbit, which we hit another Yzma, another rabbit, and a friends on the other side. So at the end of the day, we got to ink our Yzma regardless, which is just kind of nice, I guess. We get one on board and we get to ink one. Our opponent goes to 10 lore and then has a smash. He smashed his own card though on accident, assuming it was on accident, instead of our Yzma. Would have put 3 damage on Yzma, so the only difference right now is he would have a Flynn on board. So he'd be able to quest to 13. Our Yzma again would have 1 remaining health, so now Yzma would be gone. So if we look at it like that, our opponent would quest, go to 13. Instead, he doesn't have either character, and we still have our Yzma. I think with the hand we have, though, especially with a fox who has rush, I don't think there's any scenario that we would lose even if our opponent actually played that out like they should. Multiple popsicles, we heal some damage on our opponent's board, and, well, you know what that means? Drum roll, guys. We are going to draw a Hiram for turn next turn, because we got rid of all of our items. That's how this game works. We're sitting in a really good spot, though, where we can go ahead and get, 8 next turn? 1 goat, 2 goat, Chernobog rabbits 4, 2 Yzma, 2 manners. So we get 8. Well, I was wrong. We drew Judy hops. So we go ahead, play our Elsa just kind of to show it, and then we're going to go and quest out a whole bunch. So 16 to 10, if our opponent can't win off his 2 cards, we're going to win this game. Our opponent comes down with a Hercules and then passes turn. We're just going to go ahead and quest with our Elsa. Hyper aggro. It's like they knew. We're going first, and obviously here we're going to prioritize getting some characters. We have a couple Talas, which that's good. It's a good start. I would like to see like Pascal or Chernobog followers as just options. Like I said, the 2 Talas though, we hit 2 1-drops and then another Mickey, so we have an interesting hand, I guess, to say the least. The Mickeys are really unfortunate, but sometimes it happens that way. We see a Simba get inked, and Lilo comes down, draw a goat for turn, play the Tala, quest with the Chernobog, not using the effect because I want the board presence. I want to try and get a few lore. That drawing a card, not something I think is going to be super helpful at this moment. Our opponent comes down with another Lilo and a Maleficent, so really putting it on us. Without questing that Lilo, I assume like a Baloo is coming next turn as a bodyguard to help protect, so we do need to be aware of that. We ink a Chernobog, play a Mickey, so we can get our ramp going and start playing more characters than our opponent. Instead of a Baloo, a Pinocchio comes down. At some point, our opponent needs to quest. I was like, maybe he just builds his whole board up and then comes down with a Kita. That's another option. So, say if he's got 9 on board right now and drops a Kita, that would be 11, and my board would all get wiped down. So, it would put him in a really good spot. However, we're still a couple turns away from that, as you need 5 ink. Could almost build a hyper aggro deck around that strategy. Put out all your characters, hope they don't hit you with a grab your swords, drop a Kita, quest, game over. Debating really heavy there now just because the way the game state has moved. I was like, do we do this and get our draw? And at the end of the day, I decided not to, so that we could bounce the Chernobog to our hand and then take out the Baloo. Since the bodyguard is gone and we have a big board, we can go ahead and take care of our opponent's cards. Down 11-7 though is something we want to keep an eye on. Luckily, we have enough on board to go ahead and tie that game up, and in addition, we have a goat in hand. Pinocchio comes down and nothing else. Our opponent is definitely struggling with a lack of ink. We saw multiple Pinocchios, we saw Lilo, we saw Maleficent, we saw Baloo. That deck, I think they play a lot of uninkables, and I'm not a huge fan of it. Like, most people are playing like probably 17 to 20 in that deck. I still prefer like 13 to 15, and it's definitely doable. We will have that video up on the channel at some point, probably next week, if not the following. We're sitting in a pretty good spot here. We're at 12 with threatening to 17. Our opponent has Spellbook to go to 12 as well. Pinocchio puts him to 15, Spellbook 16. So our opponent is still 4 lore away from winning the game. We quest out, play the Yzma, draw a card, and our opponent does admit defeat. So let's go ahead and talk about the deck list. As soon as it wants to come up, we can go ahead and do it. There we go. There we are. Here we are. Here we go. So we're playing 12 uninkable cards in this deck. Our highest or most amount of ink is in that 3 range, and our cost curve really is 4. We have a few cards higher, but they aren't very many. They're few and far in between. We are playing 4 Chernobog followers, 4 Pascals as our 1-drop lineup, 4 Madame Snakes, 3 Grammatalas as a way to start ramping, 4 Foxes, 2 Maleficents for that draw power, the 4 Crabs so we can deal with our opponent's boards very efficiently with our Fox in addition to bounce it, to help protect it, to keep its health, and also with the boost, you can do things like take out a Queen's Castle in one swing. Judy Hopps is there as item removal or potential option for you to draw on your turn. Anyway, 3 Mickey Mouse Detectives. Being able to bounce this card with Fox and Snake can net you a lot of advantage when you get to just replay him again and once again put a card into your inkwell. 4 Goat, 4 Rabbit. Not too surprising there. I had 1 flex spot left over, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to throw a Belle in. She'll probably be ink, but on the off chance that she's not, I'm like, she might be a late game toss her down, quest for 5, and win. So that is why we put the Belle in there, but it was absolutely a flex spot and could be anything. Literally anything. We played 2 Hurons because our item count is pretty low, and he's just there as a potential draw outlet. Otherwise, he has 6 willpower. 2 Yzma and 2 Elsas to round out our character lineup. We played 2 Befuddle to help protect your cards. If you come back on turn 2, play a 1 and Befuddle your opponent's card. That means whatever you played on turn 1 is free to quest. We played 3 1-jump aheads for that ramp. If it were inkable, it would change quite a bit. And then also the friends on the other side, because who would have ever thought drawing cards was good and strong? Crazy. 4 Popsicle, and then also playing, trying to think where it even went. Sorry about that. Playing 2 McDuck Manors. It's a 9 booty with a very good way to get passive lore each turn unless your opponent finds a way to deal with it. Thank you guys for watching. Consider hitting that subscribe button. Until next time, like, share, subscribe, comment down below.